April 12th, 2014. These are Earth-facing SDO images, guys. Notice the timestamp at the bottom. We're on the 10th. So we watched all the action come off the left side, and then today we've had this flare. I'll show it to you on a couple of different satellites, guys. But we were having, and we knew from the video last night that the solar wind was up. Of course, we couldn't tell when a flare was going to burst off like this, but it was pretty impressive. A lot of energy. And on top of the solar wind speed that was up, and the K index was very high out of Boulder, Colorado, this pulse has caused a very strong quake on the Ring of Fire. I'll show you that. But let's check this out. Now notice at the very tip of that, like a plasma burst, guys, that's a lot of energy being released as we step through this. But it was picked up. It's not like an X flare. It's in the lower flare range. But this 7.6 on the Solomon Islands, they issued at first tsunami warnings for it. There has been cancellation on most of those, and let's kind of read through that just so we can get it right. But it says the tsunami warning cancellation has been canceled for the Solomon Islands, Vanuatu, and Papua New Guinea. And it says I'm going to pull this down because it's got all of your information here. But what they're saying is that you may have some areas may see a rise in sea level. It says sea level readings indicate a tsunami was generated. It may have been destructive along coast near the earthquake epicenter. For those areas when no major waves are observed for 2 hours after the estimated time of arrival, or damaging waves have not occurred for at least 2 hours, then local authorities can assume the threat is past. And guys, we're having aftershocks, and you can see as this is moving westward on the Ring of Fire. Had a small quake over Hawaii, and this one over the Philippines, 4.97. But I'll show you a couple satellite images, and satellite readings, and I think I see what's going on. Again, in the video last night, I showed you where we were having not a plasma density event until about 8 p.m. on the 15th. Now, this is a kind of a closer look at the area. Guys, it's a lot of action. Look at this. Spread out right across this bottom left corner of the Ring of Fire. A lot of pressure there. But again, it's early in the day there. The K index was up. But notice right here, the radial speed picked up. And it has not gone down yet. It should be starting to decline. But with these events stacking on top of each other, these instruments can't keep up with them. They're not built that way. But again, here's your ionospheric delay, and you see it moving west. There's where your quakes are occurring in that area. Now, we've seen it the other night where this was white, where it was off the scale. Now it's at the peak scale, but when it was white, it was off scale. This is what's called the real-time ionospheric map. Again, same area in the gray. The lighter the gray, the more pressure, guys, that we're dealing with. Now, luckily, I think we're in the decline on the solar wind speed. That will help. But the whole point of this is, guys, it wasn't that strong of a burst compared to some we've seen, just a C-class flare. But this doesn't measure the CME, guys. That's just the impulse of the flare. But that was enough to do it. Now, another thing that's affecting these tectonic plates is the Earth is under stress. Look at the pole coordinates. These are the latest updated models. Continuing in a straight line. There's where it dipped back November 28th. And as it's moaning and groaning and trying to right itself, as it's rearing to and fro here, all kind of stuff is happening with our tectonic plates. Then you're getting bombarded with the sun. But this is today's K index. Notice how strong it is out of Boulder. That indicates a couple things. You need a very strong SPF. You're going to have high solar wind. And you're probably going to have geomagnetic storms. I think this one created a G1. And I think probably some good auroras, guys. We'll see later on Space Weather when those images come in. But it's a heads up on this. And guys, if you were checking out the end of the thing with the Bundy cattle, it turned out quite well. They got the cattle back. They stood down, armed agents, SWAT teams, and got their cattle back. Now, they moved 80-something Bureau of Land Management vehicles out of the way, and I think there's reports they've moved them to local hotels. What will happen now needs to be closely watched, because you can win the first battle and lose the entire war. We're going to have to watch the government. They were called down today. Harry Reid and his goons. We'll see if their pride will allow them to stand down. Probably not. Greed and pride go hand in hand. But guys, this is a heads up. We're watching it. Be safe.